So what's going on, guys? This is the start, well, my first video of my YouTube channel. So please be kind. I wanted to set this up because I wanted to start something that is going to be positive and very interactive for you guys. So I'm going to set up an Instagram page as well. So if you guys have any questions, you want any advice, whatever you want to know about me, or how I deal with things, you can message me, DM me on Instagram. I'll get back to as many people as I can, obviously depending on how many messages that I get. But the point of this YouTube channel is I really want to raise awareness, but mental health at the moment is a massive thing, and especially in young men. And for a very long time, it was never something that I personally had suffered with. Or dealt with right up until I was about 21, 22. And then since then, so I'm 25 now, I've dealt with a lot of things that have really affected how I view things and how my everyday life goes. So for me, the biggest thing that has affected me for the past 2.5, 3 years is anxiety. And I never really understood anxiety before I'd actually felt those emotions myself. And it's a really difficult thing to try and deal with and to try and get on with your life if you're dealing with these types of things. It's just really, it can make things really hard. And I just want everyone to sort of know that, you know, lots of people out there that you may not necessarily expect do deal with these things. And it can make life difficult. It's really, it can really get me down sometimes. Sometimes it can just rear its head in the most frustrating and inconvenient times. You know, you can be fine, nothing, and you're out socializing or doing whatever, and you just get that horrible, like sinking feeling in your chest. And for anyone who's not dealt with that or ever felt those emotions, it's really hard to describe. But for all of you out there that know what I'm talking about, you'll know how hard and frustrating that can be. So the point of this is this is the first obviously video that I'm shooting. So I just wanted to give you a bit of background about me, so you can get an insight as to what I've dealt with and how I've dealt with it and how I intend to keep dealing with it moving forward. And just to try and help as many people really out there as I can. I found it really, really difficult. It gets me really down sometimes, but I would say, I don't think your journey with anxiety can necessarily ever fully be over. But I think if people are prepared to work on themselves and look at themselves, that you can certainly get it to a point where in the main, you can live your life absolutely to the full and enjoy it and be successful and, you know, everything that lots of people want out of life. So just to give you a bit of background about me personally. So my name's Matt. I live in Buckinghamshire. I'm 25 years old. So let's sort of start at the start. I'm not going to be able to give you a super in-depth reason at the moment, or certainly in this episode, as to how or why my anxiety started. If you guys really want to know that, then I'm happy to be completely transparent and explain that, but that would need to be, it's a lot, so that would need to be another episode. But to begin with, so yeah, started about 21, 22 when I started feeling anxiety and sort of lowness and depression and all those sorts of things. I mean, I've never been clinically diagnosed, but I know how I feel. And over the past sort of couple of years, I've been doing sort of regular counselling sessions to work on myself. And the first bit of advice I'd want to give anyone and everyone is that it starts, if you want to get your emotions under control and to understand them, it starts with looking at yourself. You have to be prepared to put the work in to change and develop. And also, not saying anyone necessarily does, but don't see it as a negative, because I personally hated the fact to begin with that I was having to have counselling and that I didn't myself have control over these things. But that's normal. As you grow up and you develop, your body changes, your mindset changes, life gets in the way, you have different life experiences. That's what creates, in my opinion, all of these different feelings. And if you can get to the root of these problems, well, not problems, but the root of the feelings, rather, I should say, and you can understand them, you can then better control them. So yeah, so for the last couple of years, I've been having counselling to look at myself. That has made an enormous difference. I mean, to give you an idea, I mean, at the moment now, I would say 80 to 90% of the time, I sort of keep everything in check, and I would say I live a fairly normal life. I would say the other 10 or 20% of the time, it does affect me. It can make certain situations for me quite difficult. So mine isn't like any sort of social anxiety. My anxiety at the moment, until I, keep developing, seems to be quite random. I often worry a lot if I'm okay, about my health. I overthink a lot of things, and I think that is predominantly what my anxiety stems from. But I'm quite, in general, if you ask a lot of people, I'm quite confident, I'm quite chatty, in the main. So I think it might be useful for a lot of people to know that just because it's not a facade that I put up, that is just how I am, but it's not me 100% of the time. So I think it's sometimes good for people to know that, anyone and everyone can have these things. You may not know if someone's got it going on in the background. But it's just so important to share with others. That's another massive thing that I've learned, is to not let it just sit in your mind. Just share. I mean, I will talk to anyone about my problems 100% openly and honestly, because I'm very accepting of them now. And I wasn't to begin with. It's taken a while to get to that point. But I would happily chat to anyone about, and admit that, like, sometimes I'm not okay, and it's fine to be like that. That happens for everyone. So yeah, like I said, it's been the last couple of years. In that time, when it started, I was an estate agent. I was working 60 odd hours a week, every single weekend. And I loved the job, but working that much meant I wasn't happy. So that's really where the anxiety sort of, I would say, started from, when I started feeling it. Now, during that whole time, I decided to pile my plate pretty high. So I left my job. I was on quite good money at the time. I've got my own property. So I had a lot of bills and things to look after and pay for. And I decided to set up my own business. Now, that was a massive risk, and it's been so difficult the last couple of years with, I don't think, if any of you have done it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if any of you haven't, that's absolutely fine. But anyone that has will know how unbelievably stressful it is and how much it consumes you in terms of thinking, where's my next bit of money going to come from? It's going from getting a regular paycheck every single month to having to provide all of that. So that sort of compounded and added to the anxiety issue. But what it did do, because I was doing something that I really enjoyed and could focus on, it offset that lowness and that sort of feeling of not fulfilling properly. So that helped in one aspect, but did make the anxiety aspect worse, because I was constantly worrying, is this going to work? Am I going to be successful? Am I going to do what I want to do? Now, I've been doing the business now for a year and a half, coming up 2 years. And lo and behold, it's been a very hard journey, but I'm just at the point now where I'm earning regularly good money. I don't earn loads of money. It's pretty average, but it's very fulfilling to know that it was done all by myself. So I've done all of that whilst dealing with quite bad anxiety. So again, it's just to sort of say that just because you have anxiety or depression or whatever the sort of emotion is that you're feeling, you can, with work, still get on with your life, still do all the things you want to do, and still achieve goals. And it's really important to set goals as well, because once you've set a goal, when finding, it gives you something to focus on to begin with. Again, I find that can help take my mind off all the other things. And when you achieve that goal, it's such a fantastic feeling. It can only be a positive. So that's sort of a bit about me, really. What I'd like to say is, if anyone, I'll put the links below. If you want to go follow me on Instagram, please do. And if you've got any questions you want to ask me, any advice, please just DM away. I'll get back to as many of you as I can. And this is just a start for me. The point of this is, I'm not trying to say I'm a counsellor, because I'm definitely not. I have no qualifications this. I'm just trying to give people my view on how I deal with these things, and try and hopefully make it relatable, and also not, don't know, I certainly did. I can't speak for everyone, but I think a lot of people can sometimes see it as a negative. And actually, I don't see it as a negative anymore. I used to, but I've grown so much as a person in these last 2 years, and I understand myself so much better. And because I understand myself more, the sort of connections, friendships, family, loved ones, my fiance, they are all so much deeper, those connections, and it's just a completely different level. The way that when you understand yourself, you can connect and empathize with others. So for me, to begin with, I found it as a negative, but it's not. It's a positive, because had I not been through this journey, I wouldn't have forced myself to do the work that I've done on myself, and I wouldn't have developed. So if you can get your head around that and start seeing it more as a positive, and at the end, it might not feel it now, you will be a much better and well-rounded person because of it. So don't see it as the enemy, see it as your friend. So that's it for today, guys. If you've got any ideas or anything for future episodes that you want me to do, or questions you want to ask, I might even do a Q&A, so you can ask me over on Instagram, sort of questions and things you want to ask me. But anyway, stay positive, stay happy, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.